William Hanson, one of the poshest men in the world, joins us on the show next, and we'll find out, is it okay to get seconds at the Royal Wedding Buffet on FM, online and digital? This is I think it is. But right now on our wedding special, it's time to talk to William Hanson. Now, he's an etiquette expert and royal commentator. Hi, William, how you doing?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
Brilliant to have you on the show. This is an area of the royal wedding that we're all really, really into, because it's the mysterious bit of the royal wedding, isn't it? The things that you can't do, the things that you can do, the things you're supposed to do when you come face to face with royalty. It's a minefield, isn't it?
It is, and a lot of people get very, very nervous, and they can practice for days and weeks and months, and then they come to do it. They come to meet Her Majesty or another member of the royal family, and then they all fall to pieces. So it's very important to get it right.
Okay, well, let's start with the very basics then, in terms of what you're supposed to wear. I mean, I know a load of, we call them commoners, normal people like me and you have been invited to the actual wedding, as you know, something which Wills and Kate wanted to do. If you're a normal person going to, is it Westminster Abbey?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Westminster Abbey, what should you wear?
Well, there are 3 dress codes on the invitation, as there have been for previous royal weddings. The smartest is morning dress, and we've had a whole hoo-ha recently with David Cameron, because he was going to turn up in a lounge suit, which is another dress code, and it's perfectly acceptable because it is on the invitation. But as you are the Prime Minister, I think it's better that you do wear the smartest dress code. But morning dress it's what people wear to Royal Ascot when you see people in the summer. When that happens, it's a long tail coat. It's a jacket, but it's longer. It stops at the knee. It's usually black or dark grey. It's got grey smart trousers, a tie, turn-down collar, and a waistcoat. And gentlemen wear top hats, and of course that's where top hats are worn correctly. And for the ladies, it's cocktail dresses, but sort of more cocktail dresses for the daytime, so not as shiny in material, often with a jacket and a hat. Hats are de rigueur for ladies for weddings. They really should wear them, and not many people. Hats are not worn as often as I think.
But you see, that's why etiquette is so confusing, because you've just said that it says lounge suits, and yet because he's a Prime Minister, he should automatically know that he shouldn't do that, and that's where I think the confusion comes in.
But he should know if he's the Prime Minister, shouldn't he? Surely.
Well, I think there was a whole thing about him not wanting to seem too posh, but we all know David Cameron's posh. That, whether he's wearing a lounge suit, jogging trousers, or whatever, he's still posh.
He was wearing a top hat at school.
Well, exactly. Yes. So I think why change now? I think we've all accepted him for who he is, and just get on with it. That's my opinion. But anyway, so there's morning dress, there's lounge suits, or if you're in the services, you can wear your military uniform, your smart military uniform, and we think that Prince William will wear his smart military uniform. We don't know which one. He's currently in the RAF, but he has served in the Army and the Navy, so he has all 3 to choose from.
It'll be like the village people.
But we won't know until the day.
I didn't know he was a fireman.
This is Native American friend, you want to worry.
Now, William, we know that people, the guests start to arrive, the less important people, should we say, start to arrive about 8:15, but then the ceremony isn't till 11 o'clock, so is it socially acceptable to take a sandwich with you to eat?
Good Lord, George, no. Well, I can see why you didn't get an invitation. No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
It's a long old wait, though, isn't there, with no food or drink? Anything.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's the social event of
century.
Of the century of for a very long time until we have the next one.
All right, what about a hip flask?
No, please start the car.
Unfortunately, he's got roller skates.
William, stay there. We're going to chat to you more about royal etiquette next.
Right, he's just told me off for being common. Yeah. Wearing a top hat and tails. Our special guest is royal etiquette expert William Hanson.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Finally got someone posh in my midst. Now, listen, I did hear once that Lady Diana, even though she was practically royalty herself, had to learn how to eat olives properly and all that sort of stuff. As Kate had to learn a lot, because she is basically a commoner. So do you think they've taken her to one side and said, you have to have your cutlery like this, you have to
like a finishing school almost?
Yeah.
I don't think she will have been given anything formal, set lessons where at a certain time of the day she had to turn up to be told how to do all this. She will have been around, she's been in royal circles for quite some time. She's known Prince William for a long time. She will have watched what he was doing, and he will, of course, in their own, in their private time, he will have been giving her advice and saying, you should be doing this, and there'll be other members of the royal family that will have been able to guide her. So I'm pretty certain that nothing official will have been set up with Kate, but she'll know most of it.
She'd have been on the case, is what you're saying, really.
Yeah, she's a pretty clever girl, so and it's very easy to learn, really, once you sort of get your head round it.
So, I mean, we've been talking about this in the office, like the question, what would you do if you were invited and everything? And the thing that's come up the most, the thing that gives the most people nightmares about going to the royal wedding is what do you do if you speak to the Queen? The problem is touching the Queen or eye contact with the Queen, and what do you refer to her as well? What's the whole Queen deal?
Yeah, you don't go up to the Queen comes up to you. And often some of her courtiers will come up and will sort of assemble a line of people that she will work her way along.
Startle you with a bugle and get you in line or something like that.
Well, it's a bit like at the end of the Royal Variety performance. It's sort of that sort of thing.
Oh, really?
So if I go dressed as Shirley Bassey, I might get to school.
Well, you never know.
So you won't be changing your plans then?
But Her Majesty will initiate contact. If she puts her hand out to shake your hand, then you may shake her hand. If she doesn't put her hand out, keep your hands by the side. You refer to her as Your Majesty, followed by Ma'am, and that's Ma'am as in ham, not Ma'am as in farm.
That's exactly what I've been saying, and everyone because it's short for Madam, isn't it? I've been trying to teach people here that it's short for Madam, so it should be Ma'am.
That's what we've been taking the mickey out of him, so that's actually correct.
Thanks for that,
Ma'am
William.
is correct.
He's got one over on us now. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Well, anyway, so it's Ma'am, definitely Ma'am. Other members of the royal family, it's Your Royal Highness, followed by Sir or Ma'am, depending on their sex. And topics of conversation, don't ask the Queen anything too direct. You want to keep topics quite light and sort of uncontroversial. So you can say things like, did you enjoy the service, Your Majesty? Things like, who's looking after the corgis? Bad. Don't say that.
That is unbelievable. And just very quickly, can you make eye contact with her? Is that all right?
Yes, eye contact is absolutely fine. Yes, there used to be rules that you couldn't unless the Queen or the King looked at you, and things like you can't turn your back on the monarch. That is, the turning the back thing does still actually exist, and at investitures, when people are given knighthoods or OBEs, CBEs at Buckingham Palace, you don't turn your back on Her Majesty. But it's not the end of the world if you do.
What do you moonwalk?
Oh man, this is so interesting. More with William and royal etiquette after Dina Carroll. We've got a royal etiquette expert on the line this morning. His name is William Hanson, and we're asking him some of the do's and don'ts, because we know a load of commoners are at the wedding today, and I would be really bricking it about whether I do the wrong thing when I was at the actual ceremony itself. We're talking about now that the Queen, William, is not going to be the last person in, is he? It's actually going to be Kate this time.
Normally, at any event, if the Queen is going to a West End show, for example, she is the last person to arrive, and the moment she sits down, the show will start. She doesn't wait for anything. Her time is she's incredibly busy. Now, obviously, for a wedding, it's not going to quite work like that, because the bride, Catherine Middleton, will be the last person to arrive. But so Her Majesty will probably be the second to last person to arrive.
Wow. I just want to pick your brains just slightly. There's a couple of things that have been driving me crazy in my life, and I just want to know if you agree that they're right. Two things. One is it's really bad etiquette to lick your knife, isn't it?
Oh, dreadful. Yes. I mean, for a start, you could cut your tongue. But it's not pleasant at all. No, it's very bad etiquette.
And there is a particular way that you should hold your cutlery, I'm right in saying that, not like it's a pencil.
No, not at all.
Okay,
no, the finger should go down the knife.
You should see the faces of the guys I'm working with.
You're not invited, by the way.
I know.
So.
And finally, you know when you finish a bottle of wine when you're in a wine bar?
Yes.
Is it poor etiquette to put the wine bottle upside down when it's empty?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I should be royalty.
You should. Well, Prince Harry's still free.
Okay.
He's still available.
We could have the wedding of Prince Harry and Paulina.
Oh, no, you really would be going for a commoner. William, there's one last thing I want to ask you about, and this is another thing that's come up in the kind of survey we've done of some of the girls in our office. They want to know, is it bad etiquette to go up for seconds for the royal buffet at the wedding?
Well, as it's a buffet, then you will be able to, because by nature of a buffet you can have as much as you like. However, I would suggest that you don't in seconds. It's not going to be the end of the world if you do, but I'd suggest you take enough to get you going. But obviously, don't take too much that you leave it all.
I want you to just hang around with me forevermore, every party I go to, and just straighten me out. You don't need a glass.
William leans over to you and says, "I think you'd probably wait until we get to a public lavatory before going to the street after a night out." Well, listen, William.
I hope so.
William, it's been fantastic to speak to you. We could talk about this all day. What an interesting subject, royal etiquette. Ladies and gentlemen, William Hanson.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, that's so cool. That is really interesting.
And Andy, it's a buffet, not a buffet.
As you hear, he's got a different pronunciation of certain words, hasn't he, that fella?
I love him.
Ascot instead of Ascot.
And from here on out, you're never going to lick your knives again, are you, boys?
No, I've been told.